Well, good evening, and welcome to Tim's Brick Adventures. I'm your host, Tim Hutchings, and we will explore tonight the world of custom Western figures, the Native Americans. Yes, some of my favorites. Now, unfortunately, there's not as many options for these particular figures, but I've come up with quite a few that I think you'll find interesting and kind of fun. Some are getting more pricey as they're getting fewer and fewer because the initial Indian figures that came with the initial Western sets, although plentiful, are running out because there's a lot more of us starting to get involved and certain parts are more expensive. So with that, let's get started. Alrighty then, let's see what we have for y'all tonight. So, as I said, we're going to talk about making custom Native American figures tonight, and some of the parts and pieces that I have found that will have you create a more more variants and more variables, so you can have a larger tribe and maybe even start delving into the different tribes and stuff. There's the Apache, and there was the Cheyenne and the Sioux, and all the different nationalities within the Native Americans. And so there's not a lot to work with, but we can at least do a little bit to have fun. Now, as you see pictured here, we've got some of the original figures that came with the early Western sets back in the, I need to look it up for sure, but the 90s and 2000s. Everybody's all Lego enthusiasts are pretty familiar with it, so I don't know that I need to have the exact year. But so what I did, I put together as they are in the sets here. Now, I don't typically keep them that way. I just, as I find the torsos and the legs, I just, I pick them up, I order them, whatever, and then I just kind of start mixing and matching and having fun with them. And then this one has the buffalo hide helmet. And they did do they've got several variants for the face paint. And I can't remember, I did read at one time what the reasoning was, why they added the nose to the Native Americans. But these are the only ones that, to my knowledge, that have the nose on them. And here was the one and only female figure they came up with. Her head's kind of pricey. The rest of those guys, not so much. You can pick them up pretty readily. But she's you got to watch, and when you see one for a decent price, you want to snag it up, because this is the actual figure, the correct torso and legs. Now, I haven't ever bought her as a whole figure, I don't think, and I believe she even came with the black quiver. So, and then there was a couple of chief figures in the different sets, and those are the actual torsos and legs as they are. Now, what I did find out, the headdress is from the original figures is a little different. It had the red extends up into this a little bit. These are the headdresses that you get in the Build-A-Minifig sets, or at the store and they're not exactly cheap either, but the other ones are considerably more. But for my purposes, these work just fine. Here's some more. I tried to put together every variant there was as far as the different torsos and the legs. Some figures in the sets came with the same face paint, and this is a pretty popular one to get. This one here has the red. That one is not as easy to get. I was kind of looking through what I had, and I only have a couple of them, so I need to try and get some more. And then there was a few of the CMF line. This one is the Tribal Hunter. He was in the very first series. And not too, I mean, this torso and leg assembly is a little more expensive than many of these others because they're just, I don't know if there just wasn't that many of these made or what, but I hadn't run. I don't see these as often as I see the others. And then they had their tribal chief, which is kind of cool. He had the bone breastplate. So, and they're not too expensive. You can pick them up. This particular leg assembly is not as plentiful, but they're out there. And then they called this one the Tomahawk Warrior. I think he was series I looked him up for you. I went that extra mile and now I can't find it. Well, it's hard getting all here he is. Yeah, series 10. They call him the Tomahawk Warrior. Actually, very cool. And these parts, all the heads, the torsos, this particular leg assembly are all pretty plentiful and relatively cheap to get. The Tomahawk itself, I can't remember. I haven't bought any in a while, so they probably not too expensive. And the figure itself, I'm not sure. But like I said, you can get the parts. So, and then they did, this has to be like series 15, 16, I think. My book doesn't go that far. And this was the only other female they've done. And actually comes with the papoose, which is cool. So when you're building your village, you can get a little more people and add the children and stuff. Then we move into, as far as actual figures. There was the Lone Ranger movie figures. There's the old Indian chief. Now, I don't know why they kind of cheaped out on us on the leg assembly. Just used the tan, but because I created my own. I used the Luke Skywalker and added this gray hair. I like this longer hair. It comes in the gray and the black. Now, I don't know why. It is rather a little bit expensive, $2-3 for this hair. But I like it for a different variation. And actually, until this figure came along, the Apache Chief figure from the Super Friends, who was in with the Lego Batman movie, till he came along, that other hair piece is what I used. But this set opened a lot of doors, a lot of great parts there to be mixed and matched. And these figures are relatively inexpensive. I can usually pick 2 or 3 of them up at a time for $2-3 a piece. So, and you'll all be happy to know I'm kind of getting to where I've got about all I want, so I won't be buying them up. There'll be still some out there. Also, the Lone Ranger set series had Tonto, of course, and he's very plentiful. So all these parts, so you got a lot of opportunities to get just arms and hands. The head, the face print, I mean, that's a nice painting, but they got it on both sides, so they don't have like a variation. So it's kind of a lost opportunity for us to have an unpainted face. But I like the hair, a little bit different, so it gives us another variation on that hair. They also had, this warrior has a more stylish buffalo helmet. He brings a different bone chest plate. I can't think what they call that, but I need to, and then a new set of legs, but and a new face painting in the medium nougat color, which is nice. Now that's pretty much it for the actual Lego traditional Native American figures. Now we get to go into what I've done to kind of come up with my own. This one's a little bit of a combination of Tonto, Tomahawk Warrior. I kept the face paint, but I love that hat. Now, I'm a big Western movie, TV. I love them. That's all for the most part, that's what I watch 90% of the time. Luckily, there's enough channels out there now, movie, that I can watch, and I own a very extensive library. But in the movies, you see them, they'll whenever they do a raid or whatever, they, always take stuff, clothing or hats, different things. So I like that idea for that hat. Then this one put together. Now that face painting, and I meant to add them in here. There's also the Aztec Warriors. There was a brand new one in the current CMF set, and then there was an older one. For some reason, this particular book, the Character Encyclopedia, which is a great book. It had the wind-up tin soldier, toy soldier. I believe you can still get this on Amazon, and it's a great book, but it only goes up to Series 10, and we are currently just had Series 21. So, and I looked, and they didn't do anything beyond that. So there are some minifig books that you could look at on that will have some momentum, but as far as being dedicated to those series, I haven't seen them. So with that, let's delve into some. So now that's what they have just for their figures. Now what we have for alternatives. I love Star Wars figures, the Jedi robes. In fact, I have bought a ton of the Luke Skywalker in the different variations, and you can see there's one, and that's not just, that may not be Luke Skywalker, that may be somebody else, but they're really, some of them are cheap, some of them are kind of expensive, but you can find all kinds. So they make nice leggings and different things for variation. There was the cannibals in the Pirates of the Caribbean. So that is where these two leg assemblies came from. So they're a nice alternative. That face, I believe, is the one of the early Islander sets, the King or something. It's kind of cool. There actually was there was some tribes, and maybe there was the dog soldiers, they call them. So you could, with those kind of little more ferocious looking paint jobs, you could make like a little band of the dog soldiers who were kind of legendary. I think they were Cheyenne. I hope I'm right on that. Here's another leg piece that I found. This really not so much Native American, but it looked it could be a little bit. Got the metalwork and stuff. This is actually from Garmadon. There's a red Garmadon figure from one of the earlier Ninjago sets, but this leg assembly is relatively inexpensive and easy to get. Something I was kind of excited about here recently, I was just spending my time on Bricklink, and I saw the Cave Woman, and I thought, you know what, if you just took and put, this is a newish hair piece, and it's relatively inexpensive, especially compared to this one. And then I used the head from the other Indian woman that came out. Oh, like I said, I think talked about her earlier, one of the CMF sets. So, and I thought it made pretty good. I mean, it's a little primitive, but for, what we got to work with. So now we can make up 3 different. So I thought it was kind of inventive on my part, but you know. uh, Going to, there's kind of all, some of the different heads all together. Like I said, they're on, none of these are very expensive. They're all pretty plentiful at this point. What kind of gets hard is the medium nougat color that I like to use. You know, as you can see, there's 3 there that are the same, and that was a little different. I think those came from the Apache Chief figure. This one, there are a few. I've been doing a little homework as there's been more and more added figures with this color head. That one came from Padme's Captain of the Guard in the what would have been Star Wars, the new remakes and stuff with Anakin and Padme and stuff. So you can look that guy up. His heads, they're not terrible as far as some of the heads go. There was initially in the early, there was shields, kind of cool. I've got a few. I think that's the only one they have of that. They've got other variations, but not for them. And then I wanted to show, of course, the cavalry, they always had scouts, the Native American scouts that worked with them, because they knew the land usually better than anybody else, and a lot of times they knew the tribes and could help communicate with them better and stuff. So I got one with a traditional hairpiece and one I gave the kepi hat to. But I kept the traditional pants wear and gave them the cavalry tops, which I kind of like. Last video I talked about the Brick Warriors company that makes some nice stuff for the cowboys. The only thing they really make for the Indians is this wolf head, but it's pretty cool. And I did check; they still have it, so it's available. I don't remember what colors. Initially, everything is black and brown, so you might check that out. I will put a link again. Other torsos, there's one like this. This is a Indiana Jones, I believe. The Indiana Jones sets does have some variations, and you can take the arms off and give it the different color arms. So, because a lot of your traditional, you'll notice with the tribes, the Pueblos and the Navajo and stuff, they wore more kind of cottony type clothes and stuff. So kind of adopted what the Mexicans and stuff had for clothing. So, you know, a lot of that looks good for them. And that's why the leg assemblies I have work so well. Just recently I picked up this body of Ray, so I may try and do something with that complete figure, because I think that's kind of nice. I think that goes together. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. And then, of course, you got your, if you want to get really crazy, you got your hippie torso, and I think that was the Alaskan fisher, or the Eskimo fishing figure. Those are pretty plentiful. Those are kind of a nice variation. Here's another. I think this was a Mace Windu. The Star Wars Jedi robes, they can get kind of expensive, but so, and then of course then there is the Pirates of the Caribbean. This is the Jack Sparrow legs, and then I think this hairpiece is Brick Warriors as well. So I thought it was kind of cool. A little bit out there, but if you want to have like a special group of warriors, why, you can always, you know, the baddest of the bad kind of thing. So, well, that is what I have for my Native Americans. I try to spend some time and try, like I said, get the different tribes. I do a lot with the Apaches because I fell in love with them. Sorry. Geronimo, Cochise, all them are some of the chiefs that I love to learn about and have read about and all my life. And so the Apache kind of hold a special place in my heart. But I do like to, be true to the others, the Sioux and the Cheyenne, when it comes to doing my historical stuff. So, well, I appreciate you checking this out. And next time, I think we're going to talk about the cavalry figures and what I've kind of done with them and what I've working on as far as variants and stuff. Because with them, there was 2 torsos to work with, but I think I came up with the way to really make something with them. So with that, y'all come back and we'll talk more custom figures next time. Thank you.